Metropolitan Edison has been slow to release information about what is happening. But at 8:33, the story breaks. Radio station WKBO in Harrisburg is the first to tell the world.
There is a general emergency at Metropolitan Edison Company's 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant. A utility spokesman said...
Word of the crisis is also finally reaching Pennsylvania Governor Dick Thornburgh. His Lieutenant Governor, William Scranton, soon appears before the press.
The Metropolitan Edison Company has informed us that there has been an incident at 3 Mile Island, Unit Number 2. Everything is under control. There is and was no danger to public health and safety.
10:17 a.m. Radiation levels at the top of the containment building could now kill a man in 20 seconds. Plant manager Miller now orders his men to break out emergency breathing apparatus. By 11 a.m., radiation is detected leaking into the atmosphere outside the plant. The evil genie is out of the bottle. By early afternoon, the press is all over the unfolding story of what is happening at 3 Mile Island. Met-Ed officials at last call a press conference of their own. Their spokesman is Jack Herbine, an engineer with no prior experience in dealing with the press.
The incident occurred this morning around 4 o'clock. Things are falling off right now. We expect soon to be in the cold shutdown condition.
Herbine says nothing about the escape of radioactivity into the air being breathed at that moment by the reporters. They are left with the impression that the incident is over.
Basically, they just lied. They didn't call anyone actually for hours. And then they kept insisting that it was just a stuck valve and they would fix it and there was no real danger.
Med-Ed's first pronouncements were extremely deceptive and disingenuous. In fact, it got to the point where the lieutenant governor actually had to give a press conference saying, look, the information the company is giving us is misleading and non-credible.
Med-Ed was clearly failing in their efforts to contain the story.
I don't know why we need to tell you each and everything that we do.
They felt that they knew how to operate this, they knew how to keep it under control, and there was a reluctance to admit that things were spiraling out of control.
Why is this being downplayed? Is it a liability issue, or do they want to prevent panic? Do you have any ideas why this is being minimized?
I know someone who's very highly placed in the State Department, and the United States government has come up with a decision. And I don't know whether it's influenced by a fear of panic or commercial interests or whatever, but I do know that the United States government, at the highest levels of the State Department, as well as other departments, FDA and on, have made a decision to downplay Fukushima. And I can't speak for the Canadian counterparts, but I will say that back in April, Hillary Clinton signed a pact with her counterpart in Japan, saying that she agreed that there are no problems with Japanese food supplies, and we would continue to buy them. So we are not sampling this material as it comes into the country because our government, the U.S., has made a decision strategic decision to downplay it. I don't know if that's because they want to support the Japanese government or whether they want to support the nuclear industry, but I do know that that decision was made at the highest levels of government.
I want to be very clear. We do not expect harmful levels of radiation to reach the West Coast, Hawaii, Alaska, or U.S. territories in the Pacific. That is the judgment of our Nuclear Regulatory Commission and many other experts. Furthermore, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and public health experts do not recommend that people in the United States take precautionary measures beyond staying informed. And going forward, we will continue to keep the American people fully updated, because I believe that you must know what I know as president.
Distinguished members of the IOC, it would be a tremendous honor for us to host the Games in 2020 in Tokyo, one of the safest cities in the world, now and in 2020. Sun, May, have concerns about Fukushima. Let me assure you, the situation is under control. It has never done and will never do any damage to Tokyo.
Thank you. Thank you, Tokyo, for an excellent presentation, and I will now open the floor for any questions from IOC members, international federations, and national Olympic committees. The Tokyo delegation will then answer all questions together. Are there questions from IOC members?
Again, thank you also very much for an excellent presentation and an emotional one. Mr. Prime Minister, excuse me for taking it up, but the question about Fukushima. We read, we hear a lot, and almost every day from media, how bad this is. Of course, we believe you when you say that it will have no effect on Tokyo. Could you tell us how you can say that, and also why it is like that, so we get the assurance, also technically from your side, please.
Thank you very much, Governor. Our second question is from Mr. Heiberg concerning the situation in Fukushima. I would like to invite our Prime Minister to respond. Prime Minister, please.
Thank you for your question. Let me speak in Japanese. まず結論から申し上げれば、全く問題ないということであります。どうか新聞のヘッドラインではなくて事実を見ていただきたいと思います。汚染水による影響は
Excuse me.
I will give you my conclusion first. It poses no problems whatsoever. I ask that you read through the headlines and instead appraise the true situation. The impacts of the contaminated water have been isolated to an area of 0.3 square kilometers within the harbor that fronts the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. It is completely blocked. We have been conducting monitoring in Fukushima's coastal waters, and even the highest of these numerical values is at a level of 1/500th of the WHO's guidelines for drinking water quality. It is a fact. Japan's safety standards for both food and water uphold the most stringent level anywhere in the world. And in every single region of the country, radiation exposure from food and water is less than 1/100th of these extremely rigorous standards. That is the fact of the matter. There have been no health-related problems until now, nor are there any at present, nor will there be in the future. I make this statement to you in the most emphatic and unequivocal terms. Furthermore, I shall take responsibility to implement programs for the drastic resolution in order to render this situation completely problem-free. I will say most emphatically and unequivocally. I would also like to take this opportunity to express the fact that I met with one boy when I visited the affected area. And I met a boy showing a big smile who showed me with pride and delight his cherished treasure, a soccer ball he had received from a soccer player who had come to visit from overseas. For him, that ball was much more than merely a cherished possession. For him, that ball represented hope towards the future. That's what I thought. In this moment, under the blue sky in Fukushima, children are playing with soccer ball and they are looking into their reconstruction and the future. As the Prime Minister, for their safety and for their future, I am responsible. And I am responsible for the athletes visiting Japan. And I shall tell you, absolutely, I will discharge that responsibility of mine. That is my commitment. Thank you very much.